Hello, Divine Sunshiners. This is Divine Sunshine coming to you from a different location. I'm in another spot. Spirit told me to use another spot in my house, which I call it the Daddy Studio or Daddy, where I play a lot of music with stuff. I just want to come and just tell you about the dream that I had about karmics. I had dreamed about a teacher who shares the same astrological sign as my twin's karmic. And a lot of times when I look at her, to me, she seems like she shares a lot of the characteristics in which probably his third party energy has. And so in the dream, we were both putting on two presentations. It was some girls in there. We were like talking to a group of boys and girls, maybe about teenage or high school age. They haven't really fully matured yet. In this group, she was putting on a presentation about what program she was giving. I gave it a presentation about the program in which I was doing. She proceeded to continue on and to go on and say, I'm looking at my baby, my furry baby, going into the next room. She proceeded to talk about her presentation, but as she was doing her presentation, she seemed like she was kind of ending it. And I was like, wait, it's my turn. You know, the presentation not over with just because you say it was. It's time for me to be able to speak. So she's like, I wasn't finished. And I was like, well, you kind of stated some things like you were finished. She's like, well, I'm not finished. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to let you go ahead and finish out. So before I know it, she had added on that part of her program that was for her program had them going to the Lionsgate Studios, which is a big time production company that puts out movies and stuff. It usually got the wheels are turning on it, and at the beginning of it, I see something fly through, a little bug. It pretty much was at the end. So when she said that, all of the males in the class or in the presentation room, it looked like it was a classroom, had pretty much perked up. It's like, oh, well, I'm going to go with her presentation. And I was like looking at her and saying, that's not part of the program. You weren't supposed to present that yet. And you weren't supposed to tell them that because that's not really true about what you're offering. And she was like looking at me, it's like, okay, well, I got them now. So that's it. And she went on. And as everybody filed out of the room and I was seeing people taking like flyers, I was starting to get upset. And I said, you lied. You lied and you told them a lie. And it was mostly the guys about as far as what the program entailed. And so I went on and said, okay, well, it's done. She left the room. I was left in the room by myself to kind of think, okay, what could I do to get the boys signed on for my program? And I was like, well, I've got to reinvent it. I've got to also think about what kind of other kind of field trips that I can add on. Now, I backtrack and put that on as far as pretty much when we're talking about, to me, I believe that this was pretty much um, a psychic, what's it called when you, not prophecy, but it was pretty much telling me a vision as to what was actually going on between the divine feminines and the karmics, or the ones who's in a third party situations. It's actually in a relationship, which is that the, what you want to call the karmic, which is the person that they're getting, the DM is getting a lesson from. She sold a lot of things to kind of manipulate, told him a lot of things that made him, I guess a lot of us are saying, that doesn't surprise me. That seemed like it was really too good to be true. They knew that they weren't telling pretty much the truth about their program or what they can offer into relationships, let's put it that way. But still, the DM walked out the door and was sold on what was said. The divine feminine stood there and said, okay, everything that you're saying is not true, which would be that you're going to have this divine plan, this divine relationship, this divine situation set up. I don't know what the Lionsgate, and I'm seeing with the wheels turning, they were kind of really doing things to make the wheels turn. That's what I picked up. And so the lion, which is to me represents courage, which was giving them false courage, encouragement about the situation. For us, what it left me with as a learning lesson is that a lot of us have got pretty much in so many ways the wind knocked out of us. Okay, when that happened, that situation happened and occurred. What we have to do through spirit has shown me through the dream is that we've got to reset our program. Okay, we got to go back to the drawing board. At this point, it's not about trying to get the divine masculine back. It's at the point that really looking at seeing what are we actually offering to the world. It's twofold. There's several levels of it. It's not just about to the kids or like it was in my dream, which would be the future, because they were young and the divine masculines, these star seeds that are coming, but it's more so about what are we offering not only to ourselves, to the DM, but as to the world as well. We've got to think about as far as my field trip. After I thought in the dream, I think I thought about saying I was going to take them to the field trip to go see either Google or either I was going to take them to Silicon Valley as a counteractive to hers. Where both of those things about computers, and I think about computers, which is programming. So the deeper meaning about that is how are we programming ourselves mentally to make things happen and to manifest in our world. So those things are things in which we've got to now at this point think about, which a field trip, which means really actually physically in this world go off and set forth and go find that knowledge. Really, when we take field trips as teachers, that's a way to take about what we learn and now apply it to really having a real world experience. So what is it with these principles and things that we have learned from viewing channels and doing the gym package and all those different kind of things? What is it that we now can take those things that we've learned and now take it forth into the world and really actually apply it? That's pretty much the point that we really are, and that's what I walked away from the dream and I said I have to share this. I was supposed to go someplace, the universe shut it down. I had my bestie have a nail in the tire, but I figured that's the universe's way of saying I told you to deliver the message today. You didn't. We shut things down. So my thing is that we have to make sure as divine feminines that we go back to the drawing board and see how can we get rid of the things, the programming that we had previously. Google to me is always thinking about doing things outside the box, because I did research on that too from some of my classes about how Google thinks about working collaboratively, coming up with new ideas, new projects that they have. Like at Google, they have a thing where each person on Fridays, they have like one day where everybody kind of thinks of their own projects, and then they present it to the heads up, the leaders of Google, and then if they say they like it, they go on ahead and fund them, or say go on ahead and run with that project and go. My thing is that we coming to the point of is that we've got to think about how we can take this process of being a divine feminine on this twin flame journey and take it to the next level, bring new life, new energy into it. It's very important that we do that, because we know that in next 2020 is about the vision, and we're also getting an extra push because there's these star seeds, and I seen it. They were in the class. They got a little bit maturity, but they still a little young on it, and they kind of really, we got to guide them, because at this point where they are, they're all about the splash and the dash on that one. And so we've got to kind of lead them to be able to shift through those things and find which one is really having the authentic truth to what they're set forth to be able to do it. And that's why I say, well, we'll see. I kind of felt in the dream like if I would have went back in there and reset it again, I probably would have found ways to kind of resell them and kind of get them shifted over to my end. The girls kind of stated, Divine Feminines was like, okay, you know, I hear what you're saying, that's nice, but something about them is like, I'm going to sit here and kind of really weigh the cons about what both programs are bringing there. So I thought that was very interesting. I also had seen with Jupiter 11:11. Today is a talk, and this is pretty much me and my as April Williams said, in my High Priestess modes. No cards, just really letting them channel the message that you all need to do. We're getting to the point in which some of us might feel isolated. I don't know if this resonates with you, but I'm at the point that right now with the new moon energies that's coming in and the end of the karmic with the 9-9 portal, which was ending a lot of karmic energies and karmic ties, we're getting to the point where we are leaving all of those things that really no longer serve us. I'm doing some things in my life that I'm like, I'm cutting. I no longer, it was good when it started, but now I'm kind of moving to the phase that I feel I no longer need that. And so we might find ourselves cocooning, really breaking down, as Jupiter 11:11 said, that process. I feel right now at this point why I have not been doing too much of readings or anything is because I'm kind of like at the point like I'm isolating and I don't know what I'm transforming into at this point. I got a lot of downloads, a lot of new things have been showing up and gifts and things, and I'm like, okay, what does this mean? But at the same time, I'm feeling like I'm kind of letting go and starting to break down spiritually, chemical wise, or whatever, spiritual DNA, to kind of say, okay, I'm restarting to a new foundation as to who I am and where I'm going. And so a lot of us, as we're going through that process, some of us divine feminines might feel ourselves getting to the point where we are just breaking down. We at that crystallization where everything, the hungry, we was doing everything, feeding, getting all information from all different kind of readings, off of doing the gym, doing this, doing that. And right now I'm at the point of taking that information and saying, okay, how does that really apply to me? What is really my authentic truth? And so, as we go through the process of doing this, we are doing a lot of advancing and holding, as Jupiter 11 says. Right now, that part is part of the process. We go, we stop, we hold, we kind of shift, get our legs together, and we move and we go on to the next level. And so we're really getting to the point that I thought about also as Jesus and the steps of ascension. A lot of us have gotten to the point, I think, of that's one way to kind of really look at how you do ascend. I think about the process. You go get the lessons and the teachings as Jesus did, and then he moved his way into the Garden of Gethsemane when he knew the big betrayal was, which to me would be the big tower moment has hit. And some of us have gotten to that point that now that our counter divine counterpart, we have felt that we have done maybe the big betrayal with that. And so they made us seem as if we were going in one direction. They gave us the famous kiss like Judas, and before you know it, we're off and we're on trial. We're on trial by the experiences of life. We're on trial about things that are happening to us and learning, and that's where we get to trial, which is not a trial of error. That would be the next phase of it. And then now we kind of getting to the point that we're having a lot of maybe tower moments. My leg is almost going to sleep. Tower moments. I had to hold it myself. A lot of tower moments that we're getting as well, like one after another, which was going to make us feel like we're being tortured as well. So we kind of going through that. And so I'm trying to follow also the phases the Spirit had brought to me, is almost they're saying about ascension as well. And then we have the crucifixion, which we are trying to find ways in which through that we're becoming into our divinity. And I think about the cross to me, which would be also finding true balance between the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and finding that balance until we find ourselves dying off with and becoming into union, because we're killing that ego. Because it goes almost like the 7 last words: what you thirst, You think that God will forsake you in all of what's going on. You think about your ancestry. I think about he talked to one of the disciples and told him to take on his mother as his own mother. You think about those things. It's a lot of things, although we're saying about biblically, but biblically there is an understanding as to how we're able to ascend. I'm missing a lot of things. Take me into your paradise. It's asking about that, which is really the total release. When you just get to the point, you just say surrender, kill off the ego, and now I'm ready to ascend. And so it is finished, and then you're ready to ascend. I watched the channel also. I think it's called TwinFlame All Stars or World Stars or something like that. And he brought up a very good debate, which was talking about the difference between, in some ways, I felt like he was calling out those who believe that there's wounds, and then those of you that he was saying the process is spirituality. He was stating that we're getting, I'll say it this way, I'm seeing a lot of the readers all having their own points. This is their drive. This is what I stand on. Everybody is different. I always believe as it is like a wheel in which everybody, all of these things, just like spirituality and religions, all roads lead to still God or the universe or whoever's in head, large and in charge. I call it the powers that be. All of those, Buddha, Hinduism, Baptist, Catholic, all those things still on the spoke of a wheel come back to that. That's the same thing, just like we with the Twin Flames journeys and everybody with their philosophies. I don't believe in knocking out any other ones, saying out of all of them, I don't really like to, whoever's watching, I don't really like to hear when a lot of us saying, you ain't gonna find it on anybody else's channel. It's not, because I believe that if it's God and the source, the same talents and skills and abilities you have access to, I can have access to. It's just that I choose not to be open and receptive to that. Some things we're more open and receptive to. So I have a little problem when I hear even those ones that I have high regards, when I hear them say that. I have an issue with that because it feels like you're going slight into ego. Just as these is my gifts, this is what I profess to be very good at, and I shouldn't have to say that to knock anybody else's hustle. Okay, so my thing is that he was knocking others that believe that you have to heal wounds. And there's others that maybe do not believe in past lives. There are others that do not believe that, you got to go through all of this. Some of them believe in bodies. It's a lot of body work that you have to do because you're twin and you are connected together in some kind of ways. Different body parts are channels. After a while, and I can be honest, if I watch all of those things, it makes you very confused as to knowing which one should I take. Am I supposed to be doing all of these things? And I agree with Twin Flame All Stars, I think it is. If it's wrong, whatever, him. But I do believe that, I said that last time I was on here, that it is very simple. And I think it's just like what Jesus said, love your neighbor as you love thyself. Point blank, period. As the kids say, PERIDT. We're overcomplicating these things, and we're losing a lot of, about to say, soldiers on this journey from all of the complications that we're doing. If you truly learn how to love yourself, everything else will follow. I still believe that. I don't know if you got to be practicing, and I'm not knocking anybody, and so please don't. And I do believe it, because sometimes you need those things. I don't think we got to be doing all this body stuff and the oil stuff and this and that. Those things, if they help you to remind you who you are, as far as identity, then do it. But if it gets to the point that you're leaning on it like a crutch, or I gotta get my chakra clearings, I ain't right without my chakra, or I gotta get my readings, if I don't get my readings, I'm not right. It gets overcomplicated, and I'm thinking that's what's happening with we're losing a lot of people, because it's just that. If you feel you're at the point, and some of you all, what we have to do is take a serious inventory as to saying honestly, and you know your answer. If you would pull yourself over or take a clone yourself and make a double of you, would you honestly want to marry or be with you? I can honestly look at myself and say, it's 3 areas I got to work on. I'm not there just yet. Okay? If you can do that, then you're ready. Okay? Do those things that you know that you're saying, okay, if I were married, I need to fix this, I need to fix this, I need to fix this. Then I am ready. I believe still, I'm about to say, I believe the children of our future, where they are. And that's back to the star seeds. We got to remember that we're making ourselves better, not just for our DM, not even just for ourselves, but also for what's coming as far as the future and the world. So we have to kind of remember also that this thing about ego is the main thing that we have to concentrate in killing or getting rid of. It's good parts of ego, but I did agree with Twin Flame when he said it. For me, it resonated. It's the ego. Now, how can we go back to, then that goes back to what Sophia Charles says, again, from Twin Flame community. Some of us developed a bad ego from inner childhood wounds. I don't care what he says. He said that's psychology. He said it ain't, this Twin Flame journey ain't about psychology. It's about spirituality. But guess what? It's called spirit, soul, and mind. Mind, spirit, and soul. Am I right? Mind, body, and spirit. Okay? It's 3 things. Now I'm coming back to it. It's 3 things. That's why you had that Trinity. We got to get all these things in line. So for you to say I'm going to deal with the body and the spirit part, and I'm not getting the body part all together and my mind together. My mind controls the body, and the spirit is what we're housed in. It's not the opposite. So my thing is, I don't agree with that statement, because it's a whole totality and package. Because where the egos gets fragmented and messed up at is that through our childhood. That's it, period. So that is part of the piece. Is it the end all, within all? No. We have to look at the totality of it all together. The body, how do we look at ourselves? How do we pay homage to our body? Those things, like they say, our body is our temple. That's why it's important. So it's a 3-fold process that we're talking about. If you whatever pound or whatever exercise or size that you are, I'm sorry, not exercise, and you don't want to exercise or whatever, but you love yourself and you feel that you're healthy in that regards with your mind and your heart and your spirit, then you're okay. But my thing is that we get to the point that we're like, okay, I can't eat this. I feel bad about this. I can't eat that because they say I'm on this twin flame journey. I ain't going to sin because my light body too heavy and this and that. And again, that is not practicing self-love. And that is something that we have to do. Again, the ego, I think about again, Beauty and the Beast, that has been running through my mind all this week about how we've got to take the ego and we've got to get control of it. I do agree with Twin Flame, Twin Flame Star, whatever, All Star, that he was saying that if we can get control of that ego, he was saying the ego is the part that runs our divine counterpart off, rather the divine masculine, divine feminine, or whatever. Those are the things that run them off because of the ego. They want you to get rid of ego. That's why they keep on continuously triggering us. What else was it? I feel also that this week, again, well, we know in karmic cycles, I could feel that when I had that dream that had that. I'm looking at my notes. Ending, thank you. Okay. Ending of ancestral ties, past life, ancestral DNA. Um, that is true. You know, the union is a lot of times our purpose for us to be there is for us to end those things. I want to also talk about the past lives things. Um, I can understand that in some ways in the twin flame community that is another divide and split about the past lives things. I still, again, am a firm believer. My mom said, you need to tell them and so they can make a choice. I'm not trying to beat you over the head. I believe in that. In the past lives, I gave testimonials on this channel where I do believe in past lives. Whether you're talking about past when you were small or past life. In other, I do believe in recycling and reincarnation as well. I've seen a lot of evidence. My mom used to have me watch this channel called, it was something Children's Lives or Children's Past Lives or something like that. It was on the Sci-Fi channel. That series used to be on there. And this young man, they showed several children. I remember one that stuck out very much so because this child kept on telling his parents his name was Pam. I just say this over again. And they was like, okay, and he was a boy. She's like, what you talking about? He's like, your name is Pam. And she's like, no, your name is Tommy. He's like, no, my name is Pam. And he kept on, they were showing videos of live footage of this young man. And he was like, okay, so they took him to a professional. And he went on and stated that, told about his past life. It's like, okay, well, tell us, little Tommy, what went on. He said, I used to live in this room. And then he said, and they said, well, what are you? And he was like, now the boy was white. They asked him what he was. He said, I'm black. And they was like, okay. And so then he was living, he said, I live in a hotel. And so he's like, I think it's happened here in Chicago. I think that's why it reminded me about that. And so he's like, I died in the fire. And they was like, huh? So they went back and they checked the records, like, you know, when they think maybe he would have maybe reincarnated or when his past life was. They found out it was a famous, I think that's why it stuck in my mind, in Chicago, down on Roosevelt and Wabash, is this vagrant hotel where a lot of people who are homeless can live there like day-to-day thing. And then there was a whole different other ones. And these children were all talking about testimonies of being other lives and being specifically at other time periods and what's going on. So I don't know about that to carry on. I think some of us do carry on like ancestral things to handle and clear up karmic ties about things that happened in the past. For me, I believe that also there is recycle. Those things that I seen that these little babies coming in can't cook up no hotel fire and they 3 years old about something that happened way back then in 1995, because I think I was working there downtown by end of the 90s, and they just coming in 2000 or something. So that's for me. That's why, again, I do believe in that. That's my personal thing. I'm not beating nobody over the head. My mom said, don't be beating people over the head about your beliefs. That's your beliefs. That's true for that. So that's my take on past lives. And that's why I believe that sometimes we do have to go back there to clean up that stuff, because we'll see some of that stuff filtrate in the lives that we have now. I always say we are all telling the truth. You might even find yourself temporarily, I've seen you going in now. You might even find yourself also temporarily resonating with readings and then saying, no, that's not working, or resonate with another. I'm not going to be one to say that it's not true. Again, I wish that all of the readers was kind of, again, I can't stress that enough, to stop saying you won't find it on anybody else's, because I guarantee you, and I always believe that if the spirit kind of introduced the gift to you, somebody else also cast that too. Okay, so it's not just one thing there. Again, we just have not been open to it. Some of us has been more open and intensified and amplified of using that gift than others, okay? And then also this abandonment thing, last thing. If you did look at my class that I did past Saturday, which is very important, that we really do need to handle these abandonment issues. It's not just only for ourselves, but some of us will find out that the abandonment issues is coming from our DM. Like today I had got something and I was saying something I had said to him, and I was kind of scared that I might have stated how my feelings were